I think it's only 2. Hey guys. Okay. It is Tuesday, and usually do a blah Tuesday. But if you've been watching my videos, how I have said that I wanted to do a palette declutter, and I was actually going to declutter some skincare and other stuff as well. But today I'm going to do a palette declutter. I'm going to talk about each palette I have, show you the color. I may swatch a little, I may not. It all depends. But if you see a palette that I show and you want to see in depth with this palette, let me know, and I will go in depth with it if it's one that I'm not throwing in the trash. So some of these palettes I've had for a very long time, and I just think it's time to get rid of them, Some of them got some shades pan, some of them got shades used up, some of them do not, some of them are just plumb old, and they don't smell like a palette it's supposed to smell like. So, like this one. This is from the Color Workshop palette. My stepdaughter bought me a makeup kit for Christmas one year. And I've had this palette since then because it was rainbow. And you can tell the shades that I use the most that are pan or empty, and one that's pan that I use the most. I really did like this shade right here. And this palette, I do like that shade. The blue is pretty, and so is the other colors. But I'm actually going to toss this palette. So, I've got my empties right here. It's going to be an empty for this month's video. For this month, it's going to go in my empties. So, this one is actually going in my empties. It's going into the trash. Now, one of my fave palettes. I had the big one, the Comfort Zone. And then I won this in a giveaway, Comfort Zone. One of my favorite Wet n Wild palettes. I wish they'd come back with the bigger one. Let me see. I do have a big Wet n Wild palette like the Comfort Zone was before. But this is the Comfort Zone. There's like 10 shades in here. And oh my god. I use this palette. I have used it. I took this brown shade one time and put it on my brows. I even had this shade on my brows. And I even put this top shade on my brows and blended in with my brows with that shade. And it looked pretty good. I definitely want to keep this palette. And if I find it again, I definitely will buy it again so I can have it for backup with my eyeshadows. I have this one I just recently had to shop my stash. This is the Essence candy palette. You can barely see the writing. This is an old palette. This is a palette I had when I very first started my makeup collection. And can you actually believe it doesn't smell and it still smells pretty good? I think it's a palette I should actually toss, but I'm not. And I also thought about using this palette as a highlighter palette instead of a eyeshadow palette, because I'd probably use it more as a highlighter than it'd make a pretty highlighter. You just have like a pretty bright green or a pretty blue, if you use them as well. So I'm going to keep this, and I am going to try this out as a highlighter for a while, and then see, and if I decide I don't want it anymore, I will definitely get rid of it. I thought in this Comfort Zone palette that shade was pink, but it's not. Then I have two of these little LA colors. I wanted to collect all the LA color palettes, This one's a highlighter and this one's an eyeshadow. I like it better as an eyeshadow than a highlighter, but this one, if I can get it open, I did pan that shade as well. And I'm definitely keeping these because I'm going to actually use them. And I want to try to finish them up. I believe I got these from a friend on the internet. I think Lip Balm Queen sent them when she sent me a whole bunch of palettes. I believe she did. But I definitely want to keep it. These are very pretty. I'm going to go ahead and swatch these three. These are very pretty for highlighters as well. And it's not bad. I could put this in and use it for highlighting. But I kind of liked it as more of a shadow than a highlighter. So I stuck it with my shadows. Then I have this one too. I actually won this one in a giveaway as well. I'm getting sunburned. And you got your browie, your crease, and your eyelid. And I love this palette as well. This is a very good palette. It doesn't smell bad, but it's good. I bought these palettes. I bought two other ones. And I bought this one off of Amazon. And it came with another Clinique palette. And I put the other Clinique palette in a giveaway. And I kept this one because if you know me when I first started out with makeup, if you have been on my channel since I very first started making making YouTube videos, I was into the neutral shades like this, the browns, the tans. I wasn't into colors on my eyelids. I was into colors like this. And this is when I bought this palette. I've had this palette since I've had my office. Used to be in my stepdaughter's old room downstairs, which is not a room now. It is a room, but we use it for storage, which is so bad because it's like the walls are molded, black mold in that room. And I cannot stand it. And when I painted the boys' room, my two boys' room, when I got that room as my office, because my stepdaughter had it, and then she moved out, and I took over that room, so I was closer. You know, I was like, oh, I'm going upstairs. I'm not going to be down here. I'm going up there so I can be closer. So if mom needs me, my mother-in-law needs me, I'm there, you know, and things were so amazing that I literally loved it. It was perfect for a room for me. I was able to play my Wii, have my vanity in there, and a refrigerator, and my desk. It was perfect. Now, I got room, but not a lot of room. Okay, I bought this palette off of Amazon. This is the Hojo. It's the Art Sky Eyeshadow Palette. It's very pretty. Kind of reminds me of the Pat McGrath palette packaging. I used to have them on my wall, but I threw them away because I was keeping them. But this palette is like so gorgeous. Very pretty palette. These, I started out with makeup, and these were practically my shades. And I'm actually going to say these are shades that I would wear all the time. So I'm definitely keeping that palette. I know I have only got rid of one palette so far. Now I have this palette is by Amuse Cosmetics. And this palette was also sent to me by Lip Balm Queen as well. Very good palette. I definitely love this palette. What I want to try to do with like palettes like this size and these size, smaller palettes, I definitely want to take smaller palettes and try to use them more than just a big palette. I do have a shelf, and I have one side for eyeshadows that have been panned, and then eyeshadows that have not been panned. But this coming year, for 2023, coming up, I want to do a It's kind of not like a project pan, but I want to take just the palettes that are panned and have shades missing. And, you know, it's been, I used up a shade or been panned. I want to take them palettes and start putting them in Shop My Stash and using those as, you know, more for 2023. But I can still do it this year as well. But this year I'm just grabbing a palette and using palettes, and I know that is something I definitely want to start doing for next year. This is another palette by Amuse. And I do like these Amuse palettes. This one is beautiful. As you can tell, it looks like this shade might come pan next, but I grab a palette, I use it, and I want to keep using it. Getting into these next palettes. These are LA Color palettes. I love LA Color, these LA Color palettes, and I've seen more of these palettes. I need to pick them up because these are like 4, 8, 9, 10. It's got like 10 shades in here, but I think 2 of the shades are highlighters, or you can use for highlighters or blushes. On some of these, you know. So that's what I think they are highlighters. You have this LA Color. This is the eyeshadow. And I did put one of these in one of the giveaways that I was doing because I love these palettes. I think I put in the last one I'll talk to y'all about. But if you look at the shades, you got 8 eyeshadows and 2 highlighters. So with the highlighters, you can use them on your cheeks, or if you want to highlight your cheekbones, yes, or your brow bone, you want to highlight your brows or your brow bone, or go right in here where the creases up in here, and you want to do the highlighter color. That's totally up to you. We have Fire. I don't know what it is, but my arm, if there was itching. And you have this shade, and I love this palette. I love this palette. I would have to say this is one of my favorite ones out of all of them because I love the red shades. They're beautiful and gorgeous. Then we have the LA Color Rose palette. Now this one is another pretty one as well too, and I like it too because it has some pretty red shades. But like I said, you got your 4 eyeshadows and your 2 highlighters. This next one is okay, but it ain't all that. Now there is one in here that's called Color. I don't have. It's like a rainbow palette. Gorgeous palette. Family Dollar sells these, and so does Dollar General. And I think I bought most of these at Family Dollar. So, and I think they were like, I want to say like $4 a palette. This is the Glam palette, which has some browns and a little bit of black, like your more neutral shades. This has been something I would have worn back then, but I still wear it now. And then of course you have the Nudes palette, which I did put this one in a giveaway. When I did a giveaway, I don't remember who won it, but I did put it in a giveaway. And that is for that, and it's beautiful. Now, for the giveaway that I'm doing, I must be subscribed. You have to be subscribed to my channel, and I'm subscribed to your channel as well. And you have a chance to be in my giveaway and win makeup, skincare, whatever I put in there. So, I still have one more of that giveaway going out in November. I'm sending that one out in November. So, it's on now and in November. So in November, I'll be telling you who the winner is, and sending the package out to that winner. I have my Ciate London palette. Another one of my favorite palettes is Ciate London palette. I love glitter shades like this. This palette is the bomb. You can tell I panned that shade, finished it off. I haven't finished it off, but I panned it. but another good palette. So I'm definitely going to be going through my palettes. I'm going through them now, but I definitely will be looking at my palettes and saying the ones that are panned, you know, they go on one side and the other side. So these are LA colors as well, and I did put these in a couple giveaways as well. This one is the Shine On. Its palette is called Shine On. Very beautiful shades. I saw this palette and I fell in love with it for this color here, for this and this color, which are right here. And they are beautiful shades. And I bought this palette for this one, and I believe these are $2. They're either $2 or $1.50. I think they're $2 though. But another good palette. I definitely love this palette as well. And this palette here is Beam Me Up. And I like this palette because of the red. These two shades right here. These two shades right here. And I'll swatch those real quick. I like them two shades as well. I have used all four of these shades on my eyes at one time together. Beautiful. I have another palette here. This is Clean Color. The packaging is a little rough, but I got this from a friend as well. Beautiful palette. Love this palette too. I can't say I love it. I like it. But I'm actually going to declutter this palette because I do wear it, but I don't wear it all the time, and I don't always reach for this palette. So I got rid of two palettes. I'm not. I have 45 palettes. Got rid of 2 out of 45. Not bad. Another good palette. I bought this palette thinking I was going to love it, and then I tried selling it. I will not use Poshmark. I will not sell on Poshmark. I think Poshmark is a big blanking scam. I put some nails on there and tried to sell some nails and some clothes on Poshmark. And the nails they got sold. So UPS, yes, was it UPS? No, FedEx sent me a $1,500 check and told me to deposit it in my account. Let them know they're going to take what out of my account and leave in there just what for the nails and for me to ship it. Not a problem. Okay. So I get a $1,500 check, and then the next day I get another $1,500 check. And I have two of them. So I deposit both of them in the account. They took those two checks, both $1,500, and they stole the rest of my money that was in my account that I already had in there, which was only $9. But they took my $9. Had to close my account out, and they screwed it up. So I don't do Poshmark. But anyway, Not Just Nudes by Revlon palette. I got this marked down for like $2 or something at Walgreens. Another very good palette. I don't reach for this palette. I'm really, really skeptical. I'm actually going to declutter this palette. So I decluttered 3 palettes. Alright, getting into some awesome palettes. If you've been on my channel for a while, you know I'm a big, fat, ginormous Juvia's Place fan. I can't say I don't have their foundations. I don't have a lot of their makeup, but soon I'm hoping to start buying more of their makeup. First of all, I want to get all of the palettes that they have. That is my goal. I have the Juvia's Place Nubrian 3 Coral Palette. Look how gorgeous this palette is. Juvia's Place makes dang good palettes. I will say I love Juvia's Place. 100% love Juvia's Place. I had the Zulu palette, used it up. I had the Nubrian palette, used it up. I had the Sahara palette, used it up. This is the Aphrodite. What is that? Aphrodite palette. I believe that's how you say it. And this palette, oh my goodness, look at the beautiful shades in this palette. Panning a Juvia's Place palette, which this shade right here is pan. But panning a Juvia's Place palette breaks my heart when I do pan a shade of it. But I've also told a lot of people, I've told my best friend and I told my husband, I will buy all the palettes again. Little at a time. Like if Juvia's Place has palettes, usually they have palettes on sale. I bought 2 of them where you get 2 for $20. And I got like 2 of them for $20, I believe. And with shipping and everything, and I bought them. When I see a deal like that with Juvia's Place, whether I have the palettes or not, I will repurchase them again. Even if I have that palette, if it's a palette I have and another palette I don't have, I'm still going to purchase it because eventually the palette I do have is going to be trash because I'm going to use it up. But the new palettes ain't going to go bad right away. So it's good that I'm doing a palette declutter. I got rid of 3 so far. This one is the Nomad palette by Juvia's Place. This one was the last palette I believe I bought. No. I take that back. It's not. It's next to the last palette I bought. Love this palette. And because I've already panned that middle shade, this palette is beautiful. I noticed a lot of people loved this palette when it first came out. But I've seen a lot of people, because of these shades here, the darker shades, like this shade and these shades, that they actually are decluttering. And I noticed a lot of people, when I watch eyeshadow palette declutter videos, it does hurt my feelings when I see y'all throwing palettes away. I'm like, I'll take it, send it to my house. Don't throw it away. If it's spoiled and got mold on it and it's bad, yeah, get rid of it. But if it's not and you don't like the palette, comment, send me them. I would love to have them palettes. Now these 2 palettes, this is the Magic Mini palette and the Magic Mini palette here, and this is the Masquerade Mini. The Masquerade Mini and the Magic Mini by Juvia's. These 2 were 2 for $20, and I bought them. Now I think one of these I've already panned. Yeah, this one. I panned this shade. Use that shade already up. Love this palette as well, as you can tell. You can tell when somebody really likes a palette. Let me get something. Somebody who really loves a palette. It's gonna look like that. Used up, shades gone, things like that. People who's not really into that palette, it's gonna kind of look like this, like it hasn't been touched or even used. Don't mind the dogs are barking. So this palette is awesome. I love this palette as well. I thought I had one shade in this palette painted. I wasn't thinking, but I did. This palette is beautiful. Then I do have some Pat McGrath palette. I did finish off one Pat McGrath palette. Oh my gosh. When I finished it, I had a project pan too, and I finished it up. I was so excited. I love this palette. I love Pat McGrath. Don't get me wrong, Pat McGrath is good. I don't own all of her palettes. I want to, but they're kind of pricey. Pat McGrath, your palettes are $100 or something a palette. I was able to get 3 palettes at one shot with what little bit of money I did have saved up to buy them palettes. This is what the real comfort zone looked in a packaging like this, big like this. This one is lights, camera, action. It is a wet mod. I love wet mod products. And I was trying to collect all the palettes like this. But I don't. So, as much as I love Wet n Wild, I want to keep the little one. I'm actually going to declutter this palette because I do not reach for it. And I am not using it. And I have used the blue a lot. And when I do use this palette, it does make, don't make my eyes look like they now, but it makes it look like my husband literally punched me in the face. So I'm going to declutter this palette. But before I declutter it, and no, Christina Renee, you cannot go back to your declutters and bring stuff back in. Now I have these 3 palettes. I have 4 of them actually. I had all of them actually, but one, which I believe was the orange one, I used it up. These are kind of like the Huda Beauty palettes, the ones that they call the jewel palettes. These are kind of like them, but they're not. This one, let's see if, it doesn't say what the names of these palettes are, but it just has the name. And that's what they look like. These are $1 on Wish. When I saw these, I thought they're actually little cardboards. So I want to keep these palettes probably a little bit longer, but I do need to discard some of them and like declutter them because I can see that this one's kind of getting that's not mold, it's eyeshadow color, not mold. I don't know. Okay, I'm not too sure about this one. So I think I'm going to declutter this one because if you look at this shade here, this bottom blue shade, does that look like it's moldy? It looks kind of moldy to me. It looks corroded. They look corroded. I did use the yellow shade, so I'm actually going to declutter this one as well. So right now I have 2, 3, 4. I have 5 palettes. It's decluttered so far. Oh, here is the green one. And with the green one, I panned this shade, but didn't pan the other shade. Then I also have this wet mod one. This one is not a basic peach. I bought this one when I had my office downstairs in my daughter's room for Valentine's Day one year. And I still want to keep it. I'm not going to get rid of it. I'm still going to keep it for a little bit more, but then eventually, probably next year, when it's time, next year, like in January, I usually do in January of every year. Well, I make the video the last day of December so I can post it January, and that is a updated makeup collection. And I usually also do one in the month of June. So probably in the month of December, I'll be doing another palette declutter. And I'll probably get rid of some of the palettes that are panned already and get rid of some palettes. And if I do get any more new palettes, if I order any new palettes anytime, I'm not going to broadcast them right away. I'm calling them broadcasts. Talk about them. I'll do it in a Monday review and talk about it, and I'll swatch it and show you what it looks like, but I will not use that palette until 2023. Start using it then. So however many palettes. So if I buy 5 new palettes, then I have to get rid of 5 palettes. Here is another Wet n Wild one. So I'm already getting rid of 5 palettes. This is number 6. I'm going to go ahead and declutter this one because I panned that shade and used it. I don't want these palettes. I'm decluttering this one. So I decluttered 6 palettes so far. Now this one I definitely want to purchase again. It is a Sunset Kiss palette. I believe it was $3 at Family Dollar, and I've used up 2 shades and 1 shade, but these shades right here were the reason I bought that palette, because I really, really love them shades. I'll go ahead and swatch these 3 shades for you. I will keep that palette, but that's the reason I wanted that palette. I have these shades in another palette, yes, just like it. I have another palette that I was keeping that a friend sent me, but I do not care. I'm keeping that palette, and I definitely would repurchase this palette again. So, alright, my other Pat McGrath palettes. These are the Pat McGrath the Mothership palettes. Here's another one. I had panned this shade, and I have other ones. I really don't use a black. I used it a couple times. I don't use a black, but for the palettes that I have panned, like I said, I want to take them palettes and incorporate just mainly those right now and shop my stash and try to use them up. But instead of switching them out every shop my stash, I'll keep it for 2 weeks and then switch them out. So that's going to be starting. I'm going to go ahead and start that on my next shop my stash. This is by Profusion. This is my Ufo Alien Palette by Profusion. It is a colorful palette. I definitely love it. I don't really go for rainbow shades most of the time like this, but if I do want a neon rainbow shade, I have it. Another one of my favorite palettes, and I bought this one off of Amazon. I think I paid $4 for this palette. This is what it looks like. I love the packaging. And I love the shades in here. I'm into shades like this again. I'm into the brown shades again, the neutral shades, and I'm into color on my eyes. I don't just want to put brown on my eyes or blonde on my eyes and go. I want to have some color on my face. I got this one from a friend off of here that sent me a whole bunch of shadows. She decluttered, did a eyeshadow palette declutter, and decluttered some, and she gave me this one. It's Beach Cosmetics Glam Reflection. You cannot purchase this palette no more, and I love this palette so damn much. You can see how much I used it. Okay, guys. I love this palette so much, I use it all the time. I want to keep this palette for the mirror, but I'm going to declutter the shadows. But I want to keep this palette and put it in my, I want to declutter the eyeshadows out of here, but keep the palette for the big mirror. So I'm decluttering that palette. So it's 7 palettes I decluttered. Another one of my all-time favorite palettes. This is by Essence. Spice Up Your Life. They do have a couple more like this. I definitely want to purchase again. I definitely want to purchase Spice Up Your Life. I love this palette. I want to purchase this again. I have panned these 2 shades. As you can tell a little bit, you can see a little pan in that one. I definitely want to repurchase this one because I want to keep one in my makeup collection, and I emptied out my traveling makeup bag that I used to travel when I would go to our lots where our little camper used to be, but somebody stole our camper, so we don't go up there much. But I want to be able to have this palette because if you look at the shades, you have any shade you want. You can just, when I'm usually traveling, I don't use like 3 shades. I put 1 shade on my eyes and go, and I definitely love that palette for that. One of my all-time favorite palettes of all time is by Too Faced, and it is the Too Faced Sweet Peach palette. I love this palette. This palette still smells like peaches, and you can tell I panned 4 shades. 2 shades are used up, and I'm definitely going to see if I can repurchase this palette. Some of the palettes I do have in my palette collection. What I'm going to also do, I'm going to make another video and go through my palettes, and then I'm going to show you, because I need to see if I can't, what palettes I can and cannot repurchase again, and the ones I can repurchase again, I want to buy them again, and I want to get them soon and put them back for backup. Now, I do like that. I won this one in a giveaway from Righteous Tony XO. This is the Elle Electric Mauve X Tina Major palette. I think this was a limited edition. I'm not totally for sure. But I didn't even have this palette long at all. I think I only had it a week. And I already had that pink shade painted. It didn't take me that long to start painting it. I love this palette. I'm not going to get rid of this palette. I'm definitely going to keep this palette. If I could repurchase this palette, I probably would repurchase it, but I don't want to repurchase it right away because I still got shades I need to use in this palette. Next, I have a palette my son bought me. I love my son for buying me this palette. But I think it's time to let this palette go. This is the BYS Eyeshadow Peach palette. I can always buy this palette again. I love this palette because he bought it for me. I think it was for Mother's Day one year. He bought this palette for me for Mother's Day. And I've used a lot of shades. I panned 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 shades. Used up 1 shade. I think I'm going to go ahead and declutter this palette. I love my son for that. I love this palette. But, I mean, I could take this out. No, I can't take it out. Never mind. I'm just going to declutter. So that's 8 palettes that I declutter. So that's 8 more palettes that I can literally buy and purchase and put into my makeup collection. Here is the other little one. This one's a red one. This one I haven't shot my stash right now. And it looks like that. So let's set this one aside. I have this as the last Judas Place palette I bought. It's the Nubian Royals palette. And it's a purple shade. I don't care for the glitter, but I have used it. I have used this palette since it's been in Shop My Stash. I think I only used it once, so maybe tomorrow I need to pull this out and use it. Okay, whoa, I almost lost that palette. Okay, my last 2 palettes. I love you so much. I have a son named Jeffrey, but he doesn't spell it the same way as this Jeffrey does. My son spells it Jeffrey. Jeffree Star spells it Jeffree. But I have his palette. I bought this palette in 2020. Usually on my palettes, well, sometimes on my palettes, I usually put when I got it. I got this palette in 2020. Yes, and this is 2022. I've only panned 1 shade out of this palette, and that is a military. Love this palette. Keeping it, gonna use it, and hopefully I want to definitely see what Jeffree Star's palettes are out there now that he has not taken away that I can actually buy. Last but least, my favorite of all time, and I definitely want to buy the mini. That is my James Charles palette. The Artistry palette by James Charles. James Charles, I love you, sweetheart. I wanted this palette when it first came out. It took me, I'm going to say it took me a while to get this palette. And one year for Christmas, my husband knows I wanted this palette so bad. And he said if he knew they had the mini, he would have bought the mini, but he went out and spent the money and bought me the big palette. If I ask for something big for Christmas, like my birthday, my computer chair, it's like where I'm sitting. You sit your butt, it's all ripped up because my old dog I used to have that died, Noel, when it was a puppy, it chewed up the chair. It climbed in the chair and chewed it up. And it's when I had my office downstairs in my stepdaughter's old bedroom. She chewed the chair up. So I told my husband for my birthday this year I want a new computer chair. And I seen one of his work that I want that's $40-something. It's small and it's perfect. And he said we'll see. Usually when he says we'll see, he usually gets it. But if he does get it, he said I had to put it together. Like, yeah, with a little help. But anyway, for those who don't know what James Charles looks like, this is a James Charles palette. You can tell the shades I use and everything. I definitely need to start using that one a little bit more. So I actually got rid of 8 palettes. I'm proud of myself. And I'm keeping the rest. Alright, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. And if you did enjoy this video, give it a big thumbs up. If you love videos like this and you want to see more declutters from me, no matter what it is, let me know because I'm all for doing more declutters. I'm going to be in the month of December. I'm going to be doing a lot of declutters, another eyeshadow declutter, skincare, some makeup declutters in the month of December. So be looking for those because I have a lot of declutters coming up in the month of December. And this is just August. So August, September, October, November, December. So I got 4 months to do things like that. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, give it a big thumbs up. If you're new to my channel, welcome, welcome, welcome. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell if you want to be notified of more videos. And until next time, guys, I love y'all, and I hope you have a blessed, wonderful day. Bye, guys.